here's why Coinbase, a company that is run by US investors, is actually a benefit to globalization processes. So, many people think that Coinbase is a liability as it has KYC, strong KYC, document control, US ties, US funding, and overall is very compliant with the United States. I'm here to tell you that this is incorrect. And the reason why it's incorrect is because Coinbase is the only registered exchange that is considered to be large enough to be a true brokerage without being a brokerage. And let me explain and elaborate on what I mean. Obviously, a lot of companies are privately owned in the crypto space, and this leads to less oversight of what they can do, how they can act. And we saw with FTX, that is very dangerous. That is inherently why FTX got away with all of what it got away with. However, what's unique about Coinbase is it's publicly traded. It has requirements to disclose where its money is going, where its founders are getting their money, and this is something that you can arbitrage, and that it increases statistical probability of it being safe. And so if you're looking for a inherently large crypto exchange that is regulated, that you can truly bypass all of the restrictions that would normally be imposed on crypto transactions, I highly recommend Coinbase. Now, I also understand that for the sovereign individual, they won't all want a regulated exchange like Coinbase, as it is inherently potential liability to create reliance on regulation and structuring, and I recognize that. However, you can use Coinbase to buy crypto and create a solid link to where you bought the crypto, which is very important for proof of funds, and then you can transfer that crypto over to a cold wallet. This, I feel, is one of the best examples of arbitrage in the industry. And so you can create solid proof of funds through a US regulated exchange, and then that proof of funds can be put on a cold wallet and never seen again if you don't want to cash it out. Or it can be cashed out in cash through peer-to-peer Bitcoin wallets, which then allows you to create large amounts of cash instantly, and that gives you liquidity. And so I will soon be on the field talking with people who have cashed out millions of dollars in crypto and the whales of the crypto industry. However, I think that realistically, what is important and to realize is that crypto inherently is something that you can use not only for utilitarian purposes in terms of the blockchain, but also in terms of privacy, sovereignty, and an alternative to banking. While I think that banks are still fairly private, and the people hyping like, oh, banks are gonna fail, blah, 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 because they're like able to be taken over, anything can be taken over if you throw someone in jail. And any asset you hold is technically not yours to keep, even if you're in a country that has a strong record of non-asset protection or of asset protection, like Switzerland. Recently, they froze a bunch of Russian funds or places like that, because the globe is becoming aware to the loopholes. And while many do not demonize wealth, Poland, Romania, these places do not demonize wealth, and in fact they welcome wealth as it becomes something that is more understood. And especially being a former communist nation, they don't want to return to the ways of communism in the same light that they saw under Ceausescu or Tito or Stalin. And it's with that you get large amounts of strong emphasis on wealth preservation while also being, open still. But going back to why Coinbase ties into that so well is the fact that Coinbase inherently has large amounts of compliance, as I said, and the fees can be significantly lower with Coinbase One. and you can get large amounts of transactions, say tens of thousands of dollars, for fairly cheaply in terms of transaction value. And additionally, you can reduce the amount of transactions that you do due to the extended tools that Coinbase provides. The Coinbase wallet is not perfect, and in fact I would recommend a cold wallet, which I will soon be doing reviews of cold wallets and how they impact one another and how you can stay unhackable with a cold wallet. However, the crypto inherently becomes a value add to a sovereign individual's toolkit. Physical assets as well, like physical gold or physical real estate, are harder inherently to take away. And physical gold you can't really take through TSA with them not stopping you if it's over $10,000. But you can take a USB drive worth $1 million through TSA or through a place and be just fine. Additionally, there are places to keep vaults for your crypto, to keep vaults for your Bitcoin, USDC, that will very much protect your assets. If you'd like to learn more about vaulting your crypto, I will be doing a series about vaults in Georgia, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and other destinations as I go. However, I plan to go to Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and Georgia fairly soon here. And it's with that you have large amounts of ability to create sovereignty and not have it reportable under your name. Legally, many Americans think that they have to report, for example, foreign real estate. However, they don't. And the IRS states that not commodities that are held physically outside of a financial institution are non-taxable. This creates a large gap between what you actually have as net worth and what your exit tax would be. So that's another video altogether. However, Coinbase allows you to kind of ease into this world, right? And it's with that ease, with that simplicity, that you gain ability to create large transactions that are not largely scrutinized as they would be on an exchange like Binance that does not work in the United States and does not work with FATCA. So especially with these unregulated exchanges, Binance is a little bit different, and I highly recommend you actually use Binance as well, which I will give a review of Binance eventually. However, the main thing that you have to realize is that these systems inherently are able to be taken advantage of in many ways, and just understanding the brokerage that you want to go with and understanding how you can use the brokerage to your advantage is very important. And as banks are using more proof of funds and they're cracking down on money laundering standards, I think that what a lot of people don't realize is that Georgian banks and Armenian banks, they just want you to show transaction logs from a certifiable institution that is able to be verified. And that verification inherently makes things so much easier for them to sign off on. As banks do not necessarily want to regulate as much as you think they do. They instead want clean transactions that are not from illicit funds, so they're not put on sanctions lists, and that's all they need. And so it's with the sanctions that essentially crypto becomes kind of a boon, because there's no way to prove that that came from one area or another. But if you have records of you buying it on a crypto exchange, then it becomes significantly easier. And for a country like Georgia or for a country like Dubai, cashing out crypto is mostly tax-free. I say mostly because if you are a trader in these countries, there is a potential for taxation. However, for 99% of folks, they would not classify your income as solely professional trading, which then makes your crypto tax-free. And so your ability to then save money on taxes goes up exponentially as well. I'll put on the screen a clip of me buying crypto just to show you how it works and what you can do to obviously make your assets larger while reducing the risk to your assets. And I will also show you eventually, whenever I get the cold wallet, me transferring money onto a cold wallet. And with that, it becomes very easy to create large amounts of transactions that are traceable, which in the modern day is very important. So I hope you enjoyed that overview of Coinbase and how Coinbase is shaping the regulated crypto world. If you'd like to see other videos on other exchanges, leave it down in the comments, and I will do my best to create sovereign funded research where we truly want to go over the best crypto exchanges and want to allocate our time to the most effective crypto places. And so with that, truly hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like. If you truly enjoyed it, really enjoyed it, share the video. And if you want to join us on this journey, feel free to leave a subscription down below. I appreciate your time. This has been the Traveling Report, signing off.